2019. Thanks, Alexander. So yeah, I graduated in 2019, and I actually started my co-op at Vehicle, thinking, okay, I've never done co-op before. I don't really know what I'm looking for, but I got a lot of great advice and I got a lot of great experience being able to work at a consultancy and see many different projects over my 16-month term. And now 5 years later, I'm still not at Conestoga, actually part-time. But for the most part, I'm here doing a lot more operations, technical sales, marketing. I work very closely with the founders and very closely with all the developers on our 70-person team. So if you have any questions about that, happy to have a conversation, connect with me on LinkedIn. And I see some familiar names here in the participant list. So yeah, don't be shy, send me an invite. Happy to have a conversation and answer any questions that may arise tonight. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And Philippe, I'll pass it to you.
All right. Yeah, so I joined Vehicle 1 year after Margot, also as a co-op student. And I just want to echo pretty much everything that Margot said. I know like looking for a co-op position can be pretty daunting. So I hope that in any way, I'm gonna be able to help people here achieve their goals. And what I do at Vehicle is I work pretty closely with everyone that gets hired as a co-op, because one of my responsibilities is to help organize a team that is focused mostly on onboarding new members into getting the skills that we want them to have before they are sent to other squads of the Vehicle team. So yeah, like I am pretty involved in regards to our hiring process as well. So if there is anything that I can do to help you, knowing what you need to do to increase your odds of getting hired at Vehicle, I would be happy to provide assistance. Yeah. Thank you so much, Alexander, for inviting me. This is awesome.
Thank you for being here. Great. So the second company that we represent here is Vivek, right? So it's also a company in Kitchener-Waterloo region. And they bring ideas from concept to launch by developing custom software that engages customers and expresses the brand. So we have two guests from here as well. So the first one is David. So David, I'll pass it to you.
Hey guys. I'm CTO of Weavic. We are, as we said, it's an agency company, so we're building software for the companies that we work with. I've had lots of experience with co-ops in a bunch of capacities. Interviewed a ton at Conestoga and Waterloo, and for probably 20 years doing this kind of thing. So kind of knowing what people stand out or what it looks like when people stand out, and what it looks like when they're when they're nervous and that kind of thing. So yeah, I can help a lot with getting your feet under yourself when you're talking to co-op interviews.
Great. Thank you so much. I will pass it to Bogdana. So.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bogdana. You can call me Dana. So I'm also working at Vivek right now. I'm also kind of a student at Conestoga College studying IT innovations and design. It's my last semester right now. So I also started at Vivek as a co-op student, as a UX UI designer. And now after my co-op ended, I'm currently working as a UX UI designer, but part-time at Vivek. And, I've been through co-op journey, and it had some problems with that. I was trying to get a co-op job, and it was kind of really tough for me. But, I've been through this experience, and I'm also kind of here to help you guys find your way into your perfect co-op. So again, also please feel free to add me on LinkedIn, or here is my email. You can write any messages to me, and I can also help you guys to understand how everything's working, especially when you're UX UI designer. It's a little bit different from being a software developer. So it has some difficulties in this field. So I can definitely help you and understand how industry works.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So our last but not least is our guest from Conestoga College, Katie. So Katie, I will pass it to you.
Thanks, Alexander. And I feel really privileged that you invited me. And I just want to tell you, you have some amazing guests here tonight to speak to you. The co-op students, I'm so proud of you and your successes and where you're at. I've been working in co-op for 20 years with over 20 years with Conestoga. They'll tell you I'm passionate about what I do and I love what I do. And there's nothing more rewarding than to see success at the co-op level. And I really want to contribute to the success of all the people that are on this call this evening to help them as well. So please take all their advice and ask the questions, and don't be afraid to throw it out there, because just the fact that you're here tonight is really going to put you in a path for success. So that's all I can really say.
Thank you. Yeah, it's also a pleasure to have you all here. Yeah, thank you so much. Now, essentially, after this brief introduction, we will switch to Q&A right away, right? So we have some prepared questions already. And again, I will resend the link to the form if you, actually, it's the last one. So yeah, just feel free to click on it and you just fill it out, and then we can answer your questions as well. Cool. Okay, let's start. The first question, the first question we have is probably more directed to employers here, but still, how does a regular day at your company look like for a co-op student or like other employees?
So do we just say like I can go first and stuff? Okay.
Yeah, feel free.
Okay, so I'm gonna be happy to answer that on the vehicle side. So at vehicle, we operate as like doing mob programming, and what mob programming is a group of people are working together in a single machine. And the way we organize our squads is people that have different levels of like experience developing software. So I'm saying this because then at the end of the day, what a co-op developer does is the same thing as what a full-time developer is going to be doing. The only difference that I can mention is that when you join as a co-op developer, you're gonna probably be spending more time on a squad where the clients that we work with are aware that the team has more like junior people in there. And so we can, the stakes are lower on that end, you know what I mean? But like you're still working on actual projects from real clients and delivering real tickets with your team together. And then eventually later in your co-op, you are sent to other squads as well. So it's a very similar experience to any full-time employee.
Do you mind if I add a bit there, Philippe?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could I need to sell you more, because that's what the experience is with the co-op, right? So, so every day starts off with the whole company coming together for company announcements. So all 70 of us are on a Google Meets call, and we're all having fun talking about any cool updates with the company. And then right after announcements, which happens at 9:30, you'll break out into your team. And as a co-op, you have the you're very lucky to work with Philippe all day long. So Philippe's working with you to level up your skills, learn the basics of programming, learn the basics of the different frameworks that we use to build web applications. So you have a moment with Philippe for an hour and a half in the morning, and then we go for lunch. And then after lunch, you have your own 30-minute time to really reflect on whatever you learned that morning. And then you have another mobbing session working with Philippe and the other co-ops that you'll be working with. And then the last hour and a half of every single day is what we call vehicle growth sessions. So really essentially what that is learning hours. So everybody on the 70-person team gets to work on their own growth session. So if you want to learn all the new things that are happening in Vue or JavaScript or PHP, etc., and Philippe just threw that link down in the chat, you can take a look there. We hold public growth sessions as well. So not just internally with our team, where like Philippe was mentioning, working on client projects, maybe let's say a ticket, if you want extra help from other people on the vehicle team, they can, for the last hour and a half of the day, take a look at what you're working on, or start a book club. We also do book clubs that happen throughout the week as well. Like Apprenticeship Patterns is a great book, especially for co-ops, to learn really good coding practices, setting you up for success, and really talk about that with your team. So you all are supporting each other as you're all learning about what it's like working in the industry. It's a very new process, and we try to really have that experience for our co-ops. So yeah, during your co-op experience, you work very closely with Philippe. You're not alone, you're working with a team, and you get to share ideas all day long.
Thank you, Margot. This was great.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about experience that that our co-ops folks have at Weavik. We, it's very similar. We work in pods. We call them pods. You call them squads. So for the most part, everyone's paired up, or you're with a group of people, and exactly the same thing that co-ops come in and more or less get the same sort of onboarding and sort of introduction as full-time people do, and then they take on the same sort of responsibilities and tickets, that kind of thing. We've fairly quickly we can sort of assess where people are going to slot into, and we've had co-ops that basically have like helped even like run a whole mobile app, build a whole mobile app more or less with a bunch of help from other people, but basically run it all the way to building internal tools, that kind of thing. So a lot of things in between, but 100% co-ops at Weavik are just like everybody else. We have some consciousness of it's fairly, most co-ops, they're fairly early in their careers, of course. So getting them introduced to how people do work, and when it's good to ask questions, all that kind of stuff, we kind of take special care on, especially because well, in COVID, everyone's away, so it's hard to like look across the room and see that someone's concerned or scratching their head or something. So it needs a little bit more. You need a little bit more touching of people over Slack and that kind of thing. But yeah, so I think we try to give co-ops a fantastic experience.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, thank you so much for these descriptions. I think they give some insights to the students of how the day looks like when you work as a co-op student or generally as a full-time employee. Great. So we'll probably, let's do this. I just want to make it clear, right? So we try to make our panel of guests as diverse as possible, right? So here, like you can see that we have representatives like from all kinds of different perspectives, right? So we have representative from business scene, we have representative of IT and generally software development. We have representative as a designer, right? So we also have a CTO, right? So and also we have a help from Conestoga. So I mean, we try to organize this event so like you have multiple perspectives, and also I know that like some people are or used to be international students, right? And some were domestic ones. So again, in your questions, you can ask like maybe some specific, site of like, something about international students or something that concerns domestic students, from that perspective. So cool. Yeah, let's move on. I actually thought it's a great idea to put some questions here so like people can see what we are talking about. So the next question probably would be more addressed to Kitty, or so how does Conestoga support co-op students?
I'll start, and then I think maybe some of this past students or students could even say how their perspective on where that support is, because I think that they will maybe hopefully back me up for how much we encourage the outreach. So at Conestoga, we work as a team. So we have 3 people sort of assigned in our team. Myself, I'm employer relations, so I'm more forward facing, but I do offer workshops and I will do employer panels. Like last term, at the end of the term, we actually did a technical interview panel. At the start of the term, recruitment best practices. So when you get the invitations to come to those panels, we usually have these wonderful industry guests joining us who are usually recruiting, and that's why they're involved in those panels with me. So definitely those panels, I try to support you on that level. I am forward facing with those employers. I am out there every single day kind of pitching my students, how great you are. So we bring lots of job postings into My Career. Very important that you are using that My Career tool to apply to jobs, even from networking events. The employer will often still post their job on there, but it's good to have your name. So when I give you a list of meetup groups from my presentation, KW JavaScript, PHP, get involved. That's a great way for you to put yourself out there and get that name recognition. So I support you that way, just by telling you how to network, how to put yourself out there. You also have a co-op advisor for your program, and both of the IT co-op advisors, Sue and Susie, I like to call them rock stars. Like, they are very, very supportive of you. So if you have an interview coming up and you just feel really anxious and nervous, reach out and book a meeting with them. They'll do a mock interview and practice with you those interview skills. Please don't wait to the 9th hour if you can, because they may not be able to fit you in, but and they can set you up, and they will pull me into an interview meeting if they think that they need my expertise at the table with you. So it's not that I'm not doing one-on-ones with students, but I don't do a lot of them. I tend to do more of that group. And then we have Marisa, who has the best job of all of telling you you have an interview or you have a job offer. So, really utilize our team whenever you have questions or you're not sure about something. Reach out to us. If you've applied to 10 or 15 jobs and you're not getting an interview, reach out right away. Like, don't wait to the end. Work with us all the way through. And even if you're having a tough time finding a job, just even getting our moral support ongoing can sometimes keep you motivated. And we get that everybody job searches differently and has different anxieties or whatever. This is a really different world for you right now, trying to search for a job in these pandemic markets. So again, I have to say, just the fact that you're here tonight speaks volumes, but the support at Conestoga, we're there for you. So do reach out and ask. And no question is a silly question. So never be afraid to ask it. But I'm going to turn it over to the co-op students that have gone through, because they might be able to even give you some insight from their perspective, how they reached out and how they've tapped into those supports.
Yeah, I guess I can speak about this a little bit. So basically, before co-op started, when you're in this kind of job search mode, you know, open your email. There's a lot of things going on from Kitty, from other co-op advisors. Everybody's saying something. Everybody's inviting you somewhere to some workshops about your resume, interview, some job fair. You know, you never know where you're going to find your job. So if you're able to participate in everything that possibly can come to your email, because everything is super useful and you can find your own kind of thing there. So and during the co-op, you know, I had Susie, she's my co-op advisor, and she was reaching out to me quite often, I would say, asking if I'm doing okay, how everything is going. And, you know, you're always communicating with your co-op advisor when you're at your co-op. So that's also really useful if you're having some issues or you have some misunderstanding during your work term. You can always reach out to your co-op advisor. They're going to be able to help you. Luckily, I never ever had any co-op issues, so I didn't have this situation, but, you know, every time Susie reached out to me, we were discussing that everything is great and I don't need any kind of support for now. But that actually made me feel like, you know, I'm in a safe space. Somebody from Conestoga cares about me and about my co-op experience. So in general, just everybody is trying to support you. Just feel free to open your email, talk to people. Don't be afraid to talk to people. And, you know, if you need support, you're gonna find support. That's it.
I want to add to it as well. So I was an international student. So even before I got into the co-op stream, Conestoga was already providing me with a lot of support. Because I remember that I scheduled some time with a career advisor in there. And one of the like most important things that she mentioned to me is like, you need to get a job with a Canadian company as soon as possible, because having that Canadian work experience is going to help you land a co-op position later on. And I took her advice to heart. And then Conestoga came up helping me again later once more by giving me a job at the tech bar for the library resource in the campus, right? So my work experience was in Conestoga by being a technology tutor there. And then shortly after, again, like as Kitty was mentioning, like they are constantly looking for like hosting events or even finding events from third parties that they think are going to be important for you. And one of those events was the Speed Networking Night. That's the name of the event. And the way it was organized is you have people from different companies in their tables, and everyone that is looking for a position kind of like cycles around each table, and they have like 5 minutes talking with the employer. And that's where I met Vehicle. That was the event that put Vehicle on the radar for me, and also let Vehicle know that I exist. And it was in that event that I got to know what Vehicle was looking for. So I started studying those technologies that they wanted. My professors were helping me as well, because I asked them like if any other students had co-ops there before and if they would be willing to talk with me. And I ended up meeting one of my colleagues from the course that had done a co-op before at Vehicle. So there is just like so many possibilities there for you to get help. And like Kitty is constantly sending emails as well with like cool resources to help you about different events. So yeah, I can't express how much Conestoga has helped me land this co-op position, not only by finding the place, but also like helping me build my resume and also helping me grow towards having a chance of getting a position there. So I honestly super grateful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for those answers. I also have like one note to add. So if you are enrolled in the co-op program, you will have like a special course, right, dedicated for co-op preparation. So what's included there, it's like they prepare you, they train you for an interview, they help you create a resume, cover letter, social media profiles, like again, they, as Bogdana said, they send you a bunch of emails with different events. So that's are very helpful. So yeah, you definitely should check them out frequently. So cool. Sorry, just to make sure, I'm sharing the right screen, right? So you see just a question, right? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for confirming. Yeah. Cool. So I offered to move on. So what do you look for in a candidate during an interview? Like probably it's like very, I don't know. I don't know, probably you anticipated that question when you came here, but like, yeah, important one. Definitely an important one. So
Yeah, I can talk a bit. So the 100% they like it's accepted that the person is going to be junior, but so you don't need to be like the most expert in some language or something. But my biggest thing is like someone who just wants to learn, someone who is eager to solve problems, someone who's like really like a good communicator, and wants to work with the team. Like those are kind of things I look for full-time people too. Like some knowledge of some tech or some framework or something like that. That's helpful. But just the willingness to just get in and get moving, like that's gigantic. But most like it's such an important thing to just like to answer a question, like answer something with like, I don't know, but I'm gonna go for it. Like that's the right answer. So like presenting that sort of attitude is that's kind of everything. I mean, obviously, like, try to be smart and all those good things too, but like I think like relatability and just sort of like eagerness to just like make things happen. I think that's gigantic. A little bit of like I've cared enough about some topic to play with something on my own also helps. So like, hey, I cared enough about smart contracts. So I played a little bit with Solidity or something. Like that's a neat thing too. And that's kind of all that's as far as it needs to be like, okay, this person's like sets themselves apart from other people who maybe heard of, I don't know, smart contracts or something, but never bothered to just crack something open or Google something and try it out. So all those things.
I
Oh, sorry, Margaret. I just wanted to ask a question related to what David was talking about. I'm going to pass it over straight away. We had a question from the Q&A forum as well. And the question was, what do you value more, personal projects or like knowledge of algorithms when a person comes to an interview and solves some cool challenge that is presented, right? Versus a bunch of projects that they've done previously. What do you value more? What do you
so me, it's probably the personal projects, because that again, that's more like, hey, I really cared enough to go and play with something for a while. Like I think anyone who asks you a question and if you get it wrong, like and they might put an X next to your name, like that's not like, don't work for that company. But like being wrong is fine. Just if you cared, like that's more important.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Margaret.
Oh, thanks, Andre. I agree with everything that you just said, David. It's so important to know that you really care, and using those words are so important. Because that's what we look for at Vehicle. I am very heavily involved in the hiring process as well. And for the most part, if we can see that you're passionate about what you're doing, that speaks so much to knowing how quick you're going to learn things. Because if you're excited to learn things, it really resonates with knowing that's the kind of environment that you would really do well in, and have other people around you help support you to build that passion and to build that learning and that growth experience, especially in your co-op. Co-op is all about learning and gaining knowledge from others, being vulnerable. So if you don't know the answer to something, tell people like you don't know, but also what David was just saying, try to find that answer on your own. Try to be inquisitive to figure out, or be hungry to feed that knowledge that you don't understand, or ask help from your peers. A lot of what we do here at Vehicle is giving back to the community. And so being at these events. So if I see you at this event and I see your name and you're constantly trying to get out there, learn more about how to succeed in the industry, or how to just be a better developer, or be a better designer, etc., anything that you want to be passionate about as a full-time job, if you're going to these events and they recognize you from this event and then they also see you apply, they draw that connection. It really shows that you're passionate and you care about learning and reaching out to other people in the community. It really speaks volumes initiative wise, being able to come out to these events. I know it's scary and you probably don't know anybody and you're even too shy to even ask a question, but by going to these events, it really shows that, especially the employer, if they're there, hey, this person cares. They're not just here to just pass some quick coding test, because that doesn't really say a lot about you. It's more just proving, hey, I want to learn, I want to be vulnerable, and I want to enter a really awesome experience and learn from other people and bring up others around me. So that's pretty much what we really look for.
Yeah, great. Thank you for answering this question. Hopefully it like it definitely gives some insight on how you should show yourself during an interview, right? So don't be afraid to expose your weaknesses, right? So don't feel that if you don't know an answer to a question, you're done. No, like just feel free to ask, right? Cool. I will probably, oh no, crazy. Where's it? Sorry, just so we were.
While you're looking,
Yeah.
just want to give like follow on what Margaret was saying as well. If anybody has any questions, we're gonna have like some pauses in between the questions that we've prepared, and if you want to just speak up and ask something, go ahead.
Yeah.
We have like, so just to be clear, we have a lot of questions prepared beforehand, then a lot of questions that came from people before the event, and even more questions coming in the form that we just sent. So there's a lot of things to go over, and we most definitely won't go cover everything. So if you want to like speak up and ask something right now, that's a perfect opportunity. I'm declaring this first pause for questions, if you may.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask now, you feel free to do that.
Can I just build on something that our guest spoke to? Because this does come up a lot on our side. What if you ask the student a technical question they cannot answer? They don't know the answer to. What's the answer to the answer they don't know, or the question they don't know the answer to?
I can start. Everyone else wants to add, please. If you don't know the answer to something, what I'm looking for is, do you give up, or do you try using your critical thinking skills to attempt it? I know it can be daunting, but even just showing your thought process and how you would maybe even at a high level try to answer something, that really goes to show what it would be like on the job. There's going to be things that you're going to run into that you're not going to know the answers to, but if you can maybe figure out what would you maybe do, or what are maybe some baby steps to get there. Figure out the small steps first before really thinking about the big picture. That'll at least help get you somewhere. And it really shows how you would think to handle a situation that maybe you're not sure about. That happens every single day on the job. So yeah, just critical thinking skills I think are really important, and just showing your work, right? Explain what is in your head and what you're maybe thinking. And maybe that could be a close answer. But if you give up, you just give up, right? So
Yeah, I'll say the same thing. You know, we're gonna copy each other a lot, I think. But 100%. Like, if you don't know first off, if you don't know the answer, that's great, because we want, like, in my opinion, like, most interviews are they're very much contrived, but they're contrived like in order to try to pretend that this is like a work situation. So like in a work situation, like I don't know many things during the day, but like I'm always like I'm asking questions, or I'm trying to figure it out, or whatever. So it's just that in the time that we have together. So try to break the problem down. Ask a question if you're unclear about something. Go in a direction and say, ask the interviewer, like, do you think this is the right way to go, or is this gonna, like, I mean, treat it like you're working with the person as opposed to like performing. Like that, I think most people would prefer that as opposed to, the other way. And the other thing I think is, like, awkward silence is awkward. So like, I get people sometimes, to take a step to think, but a little bit of like, what are you thinking is a great position, because inevitably the interviewer is going to try to break the awkward silence. That's how conversation goes. So like, beat them to it, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to add that. So the way we do our interview is by pretty much doing mock programming over different things. And one of the things that we make very clear to anyone that is kind of like joining us is it's okay for you to open the browser, even like start Googling things, because that's what happens in the day-to-day. Like no one is going to know every single thing of the topics that we're covering. Like we don't expect you to know those either. And a stronger part of it is the communication side of things. Like, are you voicing your thought processes? Like, are you, like Margot was mentioning, like, are you exposing your vulnerabilities? Because this is good. This shows that you have like a growth mindset of things. Like it's not knowing the thing right now it's not a problem. Like it's the important part is like, how willing to, like, for growth are you, right? Like, not knowing this thing, is this seen by you as a roadblock, like an opportunity killer, or is this an opportunity for you to get excited because you're just about to learn some new thing? That's the attitude.
Yeah, like I've been in like other, not co-op interviews, but earlier in my career, I like the best interviews, I left those interviews like I was pumped, like I had a great time. And I think that's a lot to do with like the interviewers for sure, like, but also like these are just like, you're there to kind of have an exploratory mindset. So just go and try to have fun. I mean, don't, like, and if you're stammering or not getting something, like, don't, like, I know it's hard, but don't let that get you down. Like, just continue again, because every minute of the day at a regular workplace, people are not knowing things. So
Definitely. Yeah, and as it was said before, it's very important not to be quiet, right? Explain your thought process, so like people know that you're thinking about something, right? So they kind of understand that you do something, right? Also, yeah, because if you're just quiet, they don't know like how to, what to say to you, right? So like, and what you are thinking as well. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much for answering this question as well. Let's move on then to the next one. So do you have a suggestion how to get a summer job in the IT industry as a first-year student?
I'll quickly add to that as well. We've got a bunch of questions about part-times. Let's kind of generalize. If, like, do you have any suggestions or options in your companies for outside of co-op work, outside of full-time work? If I'm a first semester student, my co-op is just coming up, is there any way I can get involved with a company and get experience?
In my first semester at Conestoga in the computer program analyst program, I found this program called Work Study. Kitty, I don't know, are you able to confirm if that's still a program that runs at Conestoga?
Kitty is nodding her head, I think.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
And,
perfect.
and I know where you're going to go. I'm just going to add applied research. Just and
Oh,
you
applied,
continue,
yes,
Margo.
applied research. Thank you, Kitty. Yes, so that was something where I found, the reason how I found out about it is there was posters put up around the school. I mean, right now, not, but check your emails, because these programs would always come in, and I would always, or even just on the Conestoga website, I'm pretty sure under resources, they're there as well. Or correct me if I'm wrong.
On my career, on the career side. So
Okay.
any job, we get a lot of summer jobs that don't necessarily even fit a co-op model, but they'd be perfect for part-time. Maybe they're only 8 weeks and we need 12 weeks. So definitely look on my career on the career board, because that's where everything gets put now. And sometimes your faculty might get it, but yeah, and watch all the work study jobs that Margo's referencing. Those are jobs on campus, and the applied research office will often post jobs that are 10 to 15 hours a week now. So if you watch that board, there may be some up there. Thanks,
Thank you.
Margo.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for clarifying that. And yeah, so with that program, I was working maybe 5 to 10 hours a week. And what I really got to do was learn a little bit of vanilla Java and work on the student handbook. So converting all of our paper textbooks or handbooks about all the programs, turn them over to a digital copy, and then have them submit to all the different programs at Conestoga. And so there's small little things that a lot of companies need help with. And so you really get to get your feet wet, but really get the experience working with other people and asking them about their jobs. That's how I treated that job. An opportunity to speak with other people that are in the industry to help give more knowledge and insight to what it would be like working in the industry. There's lots of different opportunities like that.
Sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button. Yeah, I also want to add something to it. So, like, as Philippe said earlier, like Conestoga also offers some part-time employment, right? So you can become a peer tutor. I also know some people who, like, just during their summertime, they volunteered, like with a company, and they just created a website for them, right? And then they could put it on portfolio and like say, oh, I created a website for that company, you know, and they can give you a reference. So in this way, you know, you have something to put on your resume. So yeah, definitely like ask your friends, I don't know, family, maybe professors, you know, they also are very open for, like they will help you, right? They will give you some suggestions or recommendations or referrals, etc. So cool. Let's move on. What do businesses look for on co-op students' resumes? Achievements, prior experience. So do you look for any achievements for any prior experience, or like what is the focus of like what do you pay attention to?
So I gave someone some advice while looking for, as they were looking at resumes today. One of my bits of advice was don't spend more than 2 minutes on a resume. I know that sounds harsh, but it's like most people aren't spending a heck of a lot of time. So you've got to grab them for sure. And the thing that grabs me without a doubt is two things. One is things you've done outside of work or outside of your normal path, school, that kind of thing, like we've said before. And the other one is like a little paragraph of like some prose, like something that's about you, something like, hey, I'm interested in this kind of stuff, or I'm super energetic about you know, the next thing in my that's going on in my life. Like all those things are, I read those things, like the sort of what do people call it in HR? They call it like alphabet soup. The putting acronyms down on their resumes. I don't really look at those things. I don't think many people look at those things. So yeah, those two things. Basically something that makes it a little bit more personal.
Yeah, I agree with what David said as well. A lot of the times when I'm looking at resumes, when you're giving me, that just every single acronym of all the different languages that you're learning in school, I'm going to question that because you've only been learning for X number of years. If you list every single language that you're learning, I would maybe even just wonder, what kind of things do you have that proves that you are really learning these things? So having your side projects, I love looking at those, showing maybe even like if you have a GitHub account, are you actively working on your code? Are you taking a look at how to improve your skills? Do you have things that align with what the company that you're looking for is building? Here at Vehicle, we work a lot on PHP and JavaScript. I'm going to be looking at what kind of JavaScript skills or PHP initiatives have you done to learn about what we do to be able to succeed in building web applications. So really tailor your resume to make it seem like you really care about what the company is doing. Because if you're showing, for example, some other extracurriculars like being a part of the Google Developer Student Clubs, if you're being a part of a community where you're constantly working with other students, helping them bring them up, those are going to be awesome things that I'm going to see and say, wow, this person loves getting involved in the community. They love helping other students. They're really pushing themselves to be the best in this moment to learn and grab those resources and take advantage of them. Those are awesome things that I like to see on resumes.
Great. Good, very good points. Yeah, just try to make it, as David said, try to personalize it, try to show something that you're passionate about, you're interested about. Don't make something like very generic, just copy paste from a random website or something. So yeah.
Can I just add to that? I'm just going to say, because we have a lot of post-grad, not necessarily into entry-level students that come with past experience and knowledge. So I would like to also add, target your resume to the job you want, not the job you had. Because you're going to get the job you had if you leave your resume selling skills you don't, maybe you're here to upskill in a different area, but maybe you were doing tech support in your past career. And if your resume screams a set of skills and that's not the job you want, it's the job you're going to get because your resume is selling you in that space. And I see some head nods happening there.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. That's another question that is very interesting. It's more kind of a story time, but it's like a short story time since, yeah, tell us about your first job interview experience. So.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna go first. So I started, when I was applying to the co-op, I decided right away that I want to be a UX UI designer. But when you open up my career and you see 100 positions for the software developer and only 10 for UX UI designer, so you're kind of getting lost. And at some point I was really desperate about it because I wasn't getting any interviews from UX UI design positions. So I decided to apply for software development or something like this because I still, as a student of IT innovations and design, I still have some software development experience, and I decided to apply to this, and I got a suggestion to go to the interview, and I went to this interview, and in the beginning it was going quite good. I was answering some technical questions, but at some point this situation happened that when I couldn't understand even what the person was talking about, it was some super technical question and I was not able to answer it at all, and it was completely, I was embarrassed, and it was a completely failure. So I just answered, I'm sorry, I don't know, and I probably should go. And it was a completely terrible interview and the worst experience I've ever had in my life, I'm gonna say this. But after I got home after this interview, I sat down and I'm like, okay, now I know for sure that I'm a UX UI designer. I'm not a software developer. And that provided me some kind of understanding that what is my real passion is. And even though it was terrible and super embarrassing, and some bad interviews always happen in your life, you can't, it just happens. You just have to accept it. So that was my story of a bad interview. But again, it helped me to understand what my real passion is. And after struggle, I got a job as a UX UI designer. So again, I know those bad interviews gonna hurt, but everybody has this experience. So just don't give up about it. Bad interviews happen.
Yeah, good point. I also want to refer to David's point that he made like earlier. So David said that you kind of will feel like you will feel that you will enjoy the interview if you like the company or something like this. Sorry, I like completely messed it up. But what I'm trying to say is that so when I had got a few interviews before I got my co-op at Vehicle. So I attended those, and it wasn't like it felt okay. I answered questions, but then like I still remember my first conversation with Margot, Philippe, and also another developer from Vehicle. I mean, I just felt this is my place, I went to work there and it was like 100%. So like, you kind of, you just will feel this kind of connection, I would say. Yeah, that's like just one, I don't know, suggestion or how to call that, but yeah, this is my brief story. Does anyone?
I want to add to that, because thanks, Alexander. That's very nice of you to say. Even so related to what Alexander just said, my first experience wanting my dream job was really just trying to, I didn't even try. I had no idea that it was even happening, to be totally honest, at the time. So what happened was, it was a long time ago at Speed Networking Night, and Kitty helped me organize the event. And it was definitely one of my first times ever doing that. I had no idea what I was doing, but had the mindset of let's just do it and let's learn. And then one of the employers, Vehicle, was there, and I was just really excited because I was so nervous. I think the nervousness from running the event got me super excited to just talk to people. And that really resonated. And that kind of turned into like that first experience. So going to these events that are related to what you really want to learn, you could be speaking with your future employer. You never know. So coming to these events, that could be your first interview. They realize that, hey, that person asked a really good question, or that seemed to really resonate with that person. And that could be a really great alignment with what the company does. So you never know when you're going to have that first interview or that first connection with a company. So if you're ever going to anywhere, an event or something, ask a question, say hello to somebody that has the job you really want. You never know what kind of doors that could open up for you. And again, it really just comes back to having that passion and the energy. People will see it. And if they do, they may offer you a job. So always go to places with a great attitude, especially if you think maybe you could see yourself working there or something. They'll remember that. So that'll definitely help with your first job interview for sure.
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead, David.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, like, remember, like, it's intimidating to talk to the person across the table, and I have stories and that kind of thing. But it is, and especially if they're old people like me. But like they're just like those people are just like hopefully they're just as passionate about you or as passionate as you about what they're doing as they want you to be. Like I really want to build products and make things happen, and I want people around me that do that too. So I when you're in the interview, like show that, and that goes a long way. Like my first interview that I was something like being in a complete like suit and tie on a really hot summer day, traveling on the TTC with no air conditioning, and getting to this interview completely sweating, because of course like who wears a suit? I don't wear a suit. I didn't then either. So I was like sweating and I was like really visibly like incredibly hot. And but when I got there, like it was just like a normal like this is ridiculous. I look like an idiot kind of thing, and it was just like funny. So again, like if you can relate to like people, those people are just you but a little bit older, and not any smarter and not any better or more thoughtful or any of those things. So think of it like that.
Yeah, and I want to add to this this whole vibe that we're talking about of like showing your excitement, and that ties with what David was mentioning as well on the previous question. During my interview, I do remember that I got a lot of feedback in regards to my code. For like first, I didn't write like any tests at all, and my code was super messy. But I got like all this amazing feedback from my interviewers, and after I got hired, I did hear from them that like the one thing that they really liked that I did is that when I got back to my place, I went to my repo and I did the changes that they recommended, and then I sent them an email saying like, hey, like I really appreciate that you guys mentioned me about this and this and this. So here's like my attempt of trying to do that, and they really liked that, and I strongly recommend this. Like it's sending a message up. So I think a lot of people has heard this recommendation before when you return from a job interview, like sending a message afterwards. I do think that that's important, especially if you show like it's another opportunity for you to show your engagement to the situation. Like instead of just saying like I really enjoyed that, like it would be awesome for you to also show like why you liked that or why you didn't. Even like you could maybe mention why you didn't, but like I think in my case it helped me land the position. The fact that in my message back to them later on that day involved sharing the things that I've learned during the interview process, and it was just an amazing learning experience. Like it was a very casual back and forth, and it's funny that like David brought the suit and tie thing, and I actually went with us. I don't know if Margot remembers that. It's like, Margot, you were at work. Like I went in a suit to the job interview, and someone asked like, do you usually dress like that? I was like, no, I was just trying to impress. Like, I don't usually dress like this at all. The conversation was super casual. But I guess it depends on the place as well. Like you need to read the room. I guess if the room is everyone is suit and tie, then maybe the code dress of that place requires a suit and tie. But it's not the case at Vehicle though, like in a lot of other places. Yeah.
If I can just add, this is Philip's big, I when I see you, I just smile. I naturally smile. If you can remember to smile, try, as nervous as you are, try to smile in that interview, because it really can just kind of make a much better connection. And I want to work with the happy person, not the grumpy person. So, and Philippe, if I have to share, he has a sign on his desk. We always, we asked him a question, what, I got to think how I worded that. What was, how do you show success in your job or your career?
How do you measure success?
How do you measure success? And it was, how many times I smile a day or in the hour. And he actually has a sign on his desk that has 55 smiles an hour. I have a picture of that, and every now and again I open that, and it really, on my bad days, that makes me smile. So if you can remember to try and keep a smile on your face, no matter how nervous you are, practice that if you can. Practice that smiling, because it really, really can make a difference in that interview for you, I think, too.
Thanks, Katie.
Sorry, I love your smile.
Yeah, I as always forget where my mute button is. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your stories. That was great. Then let's probably move on. Maybe let's actually make a small pause. Does anyone from the audience want to ask a question?
I recall there was a person with a hand up. We didn't kind of address that. You still
I think it was Alexi P, right? If I'm not, if I pronounce your name correctly.
Yes, that was me. You guys actually answered my question. My question was, like, what are you guys looking for in successful candidates? I guess another question that I have is, how do you as a team handle a failed project or just a failure in general? That was directed at either at anyone or anyone at Vehicle or Weaving.
Yeah, failed projects, that's tough. We've
Tough
had
to have
them for
those.
sure. So, I mean, I'll say the obvious thing is, like, hopefully you learn something, and hopefully you can pinpoint the thing that would have made it better. And oftentimes failures aren't necessarily always within your control. Something else went wrong. For the most part, it sort of teaches you lots about who you are and that kind of thing. I mean, the failures I think that we've had, not many, but they're mostly related to the social side. The customer relationships and those kind of things are way more, are the key things in many ways. Building things for other people is gigantic, but the relationships are huge. So anyway, the obvious point is, learn and get the team to understand. And also, this isn't like super HR friendly, but I would also say, like feeling a little bit of like getting hit in the face is actually not a bad thing, because then you'll avoid it the next time. So don't necessarily just continue and don't think about it. Like, it's okay to think about it and feel a little bit of not happiness, sadness about it. So yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I want to add as well is that the way we usually operate is by having constant retros where we look back at how the week went. So if we consider like failures as being things that we could have done better, or things that some people did not like possibly like the client didn't like, or someone from the squad didn't like, all of those things, like David was mentioning, like can be opportunities for growth from the next week onwards, right? So so that's what we call retros, like retrospective over the week. We just discuss things together as a team, and we try to change our plans to accommodate to the things that we've just learned, like through this experience.
Yeah, I like to add on as well. Failure is inevitable. And what Philippe and David were saying is, if you take that failure and see it as growth or an opportunity to learn or become better, to not have that failure happen again, that is really important to keep in your own mind, as well as your team, as well as the company, because that's how you're going to understand and measure success. And with it being inevitable, the best you can do is try to prepare yourself as much as possible to avoid failure. So a lot of the things that we do is really value communication. So whether that's speaking with our clients and really keeping that conversation, keeping them up to date with what's going on, starting off the day, hey, this is what we're going to be focusing on. Do you have any concerns? Or let's meet up, let's have conversations throughout the day. If anywhere in the day feels like we're kind of not connecting or not meshing, let's jump on a call. And that's how we do so many mobbing exercises at Vehicle. And really, mobbing is just working with a team. It really sets you up for success because everyone is there. Everyone can contribute. Everyone can see what's going on. No one is out of place. And sometimes when failure happens, that's usually the underlying key factor. Somebody didn't have the information, or there wasn't enough communication to make sure that all parties are happy. Because usually in web development, you'll have sprint plans. So you'll have a 2-week time period where you're all trying to figure out what you're trying to do. And if you're if you have a lot of communication, like having those weekly retrospective meetings, what did we do well? What did we not do so well? Or what can we do better? Having a lot of communication will help make sure that everything's running smoothly and there's going to be no surprises for failure. So the best you can do is try to do everything that you can to make failure not an option, but don't see failure as it's the end. It's let's learn from this and become better.
I just add one more thing, and I think it's important for all the years, of troubleshooting student problems is if it's your failure, own it. Right? And when we own it, we learn from it. And don't, the failure doesn't have to be the end of it. But I think if you can own it, and what could I do different, that goes a long way than trying to run away from it.
All right, thank you for the question. We have another person with a hand up, Chris Etienne.
Yeah, let's take one more, and then we will just continue, and then maybe at the end we also will get some questions for participants.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask everybody, we mentioned that personal project is a great thing to have. Just like, what's the best way to showcase them? Like have them on a website, on GitHub, or write them up like in the resume or something? Like, how do you get them in front of the people who are hiring you?
I think if you have your project deployed on a website that I can just click on the link and interact with it, that's amazing. Like, honestly, if your GitHub is public, that is also great. But yeah, I think, in my opinion, the best way to show me a side project is to have a link, and all I have to do is click on that link and see the thing functioning. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd agree. That fits in my 2-minute window of clicking on a link and seeing a web page or seeing an app. Yeah, for sure.
Which ties really well with make sure you have something deployed or something working. Like a half-built project is great, but a deployed half-built project is better. If you can see something actually functional, that's much better for the person interviewing you.
Yeah, true. Thank you for the question and for the answers. Let's move on. So there is another question that I really want to ask our panel. So let's keep this one short. So has COVID made finding a co-op more difficult? What are some tips for finding one?
I'm going to jump in first here and just say yes. Obviously, the one thing that I found, we had a lot of examples of our co-op students finding their job at a networking event in person, being able to talk to that employer. And I think with COVID, it's the one thing I really miss is that engagement in person at those kind of events. So yeah, COVID has definitely kind of remove that element. But the fact that you're here tonight, you're asking questions, people are going to recognize your names. And there's so many meetup groups, and Philippe and Margot talked about their mob programming and shared a link. I mean, I definitely would say get involved in those, go to the meetup groups. We're in a tech field that pivoted to a virtual space very quickly. And there are still a lot of networking events that are happening. So get yourself out there. And I'll let our audience, because I'm sure they've got some other ways that you can find them. They're the ones hiring.
Yeah, I also can add to this. So I guess I started looking for co-op when COVID just started. So it was like, I think it was a lot of positions on my career before COVID. And when COVID just hit, everybody was completely lost. All of the employers were lost, and the number of positions were reduced quite a lot, I would say. So, and I think it definitely had some huge impact on finding your co-op, but at the same time, it opened some other doors. For example, like here I'm located in Waterloo, and I'm looking for local jobs because everything was in person back then. But now everybody also, not almost, I would say almost everybody works remotely. So it opens the door for the rest of Canada. Maybe you can still be based in Waterloo and work for other provinces. So, you kind of have more options right now. And also I remember when COVID just started, there were a lot of like spreadsheets going on online where everybody was just posting themselves as a talent that is looking for a job, and also employers were posting a lot of positions that they urgently need help from students. So I think there are a lot of websites online if you're gonna just search for it. So I think there is specific websites that are dedicated for co-op or internship search over in North America. So I think you can also try and look for those, because again, COVID did really hit on co-op job search, but at the same time, it opened up different opportunities in it. So again, it is still a bad thing, but if you look at it from the different angle, maybe you're gonna find some other opportunities that gonna help you in your co-op search.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I think that it also depends on an industry, right? So and IT probably is the least affected one. Yeah, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I want to ask this question. What is your opinion on social media for job seekers? Which ones do you pay attention to, looking from different perspectives? So like the question would be, obviously, like it can be LinkedIn, GitHub, but since there are many students from different programs, right? It's not only IT. I would like to hear also, so from at least from three different perspectives, like let's do IT, design, and business, right? Since like you look at you might look for some other platforms, right? So please feel free to share your thoughts.
Yeah, so with all three fields, it's really important to be able to learn how to market yourself. So whether that's using LinkedIn to, instead of having all your projects on your resume, why don't you talk about your projects on LinkedIn? Hey, everyone, this is something really cool that I've been working on over the past X number of weeks or months or whatever. I just wanted to show people. I would love if someone would give me some feedback on it. There you go. That's one post that if someone searches your name because they're maybe, let's say, looking for or sees a resume and they see that you've presented a project on your LinkedIn, that's awesome. You're trying to really market yourself and reach an audience that you might not have exposure to. Now that we're working remotely, it's a very easy thing to put something on there. When it comes to even just, I had a thought and I totally forgot what I was about to say. But you can definitely use social media to your advantage by even just saying like, hey, I went to this event and I thought it was awesome. Would love to know more. Or does anyone else know other events that are similar to this that I can learn more about design? Or can I learn more about programming? Or let's say you found like a really good programming Kata challenge website and you share that with other people. It shows that, hey, you're trying to share resources with other people. This person's a really maybe good team player. Social media is a great way for you to kind of market yourself and reach out to audiences that can maybe help you. So I think it's great to do that.
Yeah, I would say that I completely agree with Margot. Social media nowadays is a huge thing, and you definitely can use it as an advantage. In terms of design, again, LinkedIn is number one priority. I'm gonna say this, but also if you want to increase your digital presence as a designer, there are a lot of like social media for designers like Behance or Dribbble, which are super useful. People are also using those as a job search platforms. So, and it also kind of help you to showcase your projects. So this also can be really good for you. And also I'm gonna say that, if you're passionate about something, either software development or design, it doesn't matter, you're super, even about your side project, you can go on Medium and write a blog about it. Like, I did this, this is my side project, it works like this, I learned a lot from it. So it kind of, and you can also add it to your LinkedIn. Hey, here is a post that I made about my side project or anything like this. This is also might be a good opportunity for you to stand out from the crowd.
A great point. Thank you for sharing those. Great. Maybe a question to Margaret would be: are there any like platforms? I'm not like sure. Similar to GitHub or the design platform, like Bogdana just mentioned. Like in business field, are there any similar platforms where you can kind of showcase your projects or something?
Yeah, I mean, use Google Drive if you have like a slide deck that you're really proud of that you've made that really, or even just like some projects that you've made. I know Figma is a really great program to maybe design, let's just say a campaign that you had. If you're in business and you have like a really cool campaign idea, like, hey, we're going to be sending out these crazy emails, or these are the posts that we could possibly have on social media if I wanted to run a marketing campaign. Those are great things. Or even if you're interested, it depends on the role that you're interested in as well. If you're interested in like business marketing and the social media aspect, how good is your own Instagram? How are you marketing yourself? I would not say that they would judge so much on your content, but more how creative are you? How outside the box are you thinking? What kind of things are you doing differently? Or what kind of things on trend are you looking into? Those are all going to be great things, especially even updating your LinkedIn. If you're in business and you have a LinkedIn, very, very great way to reach out to other people that also have maybe a career that you're really interested in. Reach out to them. Ask for them if like what's it like working in their field, or if they have some time to maybe share some ideas with you. Those are great ways that you can use social media for business. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. So now I'm just thinking, should we? It's only 7 minutes left, and I want to respect everyone's time. So we obviously have we even didn't cover half of the questions. So yeah, we still want to do the raffle item. So I probably think we should switch to that part. So it will be.
Do you want to do last call for any let's take last question if anybody wants to
yeah, from the audience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If not, we'll do the raffle.
I have a quick question if I could jump in with one.
Yeah, for sure.
How much does a previous degree come into play when you see co-op resumes come by? You know, they're second year co-op, but they've already got an undergrad in something else that's sort of applicable. Does that ever sway the opinion?
I can give it a bit. By seeing that, just my initial reaction is you're passionate about learning. So maybe if something didn't work out, you're still directing yourself on a path to continue growing. So it's something that is definitely a great item to talk about. And I think if you treat it as a story and how you shaped your career and how you shaped your life, and use that as a way to really tell people how you're passionate about whatever you're really looking to do, that can be used as an asset to show, hey, look, I'm experienced, I have a wide variety of skills. And the more, I feel like even in technology, the more kind of diverse your experience is, the more things you can build and the more cool, impressive things, because you have a different mindset than somebody else that maybe has that has carved one path for themselves. You've carved many paths, and that's a huge, huge, huge thing to really talk about. So phrase it as or not phrase it, but shape it into how it shaped you. And that you could use that as an asset for sure.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to everyone for your answers and for your questions. I'll probably pass it to Andrew so we can just spin a wheel and see who gets a prize. So the prize will be just something custom from GDC from our club. You can just send me an email, like the winner can send me an email, and so we'll you can tell me what you want, either a t-shirt or a cup, and then I will order one for you.
All right, it's going to be a big wheel. Bear with my computer, it's pretty slow. Okay, can everybody see?
Yep.
Great. I hope it's not going to die. It is spinning. I'm not sure if the frame rate is through. And it's Braden Bowler, seems like. Congrats.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations. So please write me an email to here. I just dropped it in the chat, and or you can just ping me on Discord if you're in our server, and then we can talk about swag. Cool. Then just to wrap everything up, thank you so much again. It's a pleasure that we have such a wonderful panel today. Thank you for sharing your experiences and advice. Yeah, hopefully, I hope we'll see you in the future events as well. So great.
Yeah, thanks a lot everybody for coming as well. This is probably one of the largest events we've ever run in our club. So thanks
internal
everybody
events,
for coming
definitely.
up. Yeah, I hope you learned something, and for sure keep looking for the position if you haven't found one, and connect with the beautiful speakers that we have today. And huge thanks to the speakers as well. We really value your time and contribution.
Definitely.
Thanks for organizing.
Yeah, thanks for organizing and having us. It's always so fun.
Yeah, thanks.
This
Thank
is
you.
great. And I
Our
hope
pleasure.
that you tell all your classmates in first year they need to join the Google Developers Club at Conestoga, because this is just an awesome thing. So thank you to the organizers as well. I'm just so excited that you continue to do this and are doing such a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.